Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm just about to get into my analysis video this week. I usually do a recap video on Saturdays, but I didn't actually take any trades this week, so there was no trading week to recap as such. There were some opportunities that did set up, but I didn't actually enter any opportunities because I was not at the computer. So either I was asleep because they set up in London, or I was just away from my desk at the time. I also kind of wanted to just make mention as to why I even make these videos or started this whole YouTube channel. The predominant reason is just to kind of help myself get better, right? So record myself doing analysis. So the same analysis I would do every week, just record myself doing it, plan my trading week, and just try to keep myself accountable, right? And just get better and better as time passes. So yeah, so that's the whole reason I do these Outlook videos. And you know, hopefully there's been quite a few people who have watched the videos and let me know that it's actually helped them quite a bit. So you know, I guess it kind of serves dual purpose, right? It helps me, and then hopefully helps some people that actually watch the videos. Anyway, let's get into the analysis this week. All right, so I've already kind of gone through and identified some opportunities. The ones marked in red are either not super clear, or they might take a long time for them to set up. Ones in yellow, probably a little bit more immediate, right? So all right, so starting here on AUDCAD. All right, so originally I traded off of this level here, which was a level I identified on the forward time frame, kind of just pinpointing that neckline for this kind of head and shoulders, right? You have this left shoulder, head, right shoulder, came back, retested it. So I took my entry here based on that rejection and just targeted this previous market structure here, and I think that worked out to be like a 2-hour opportunity. Moved my stops to break even, and then it came down and would obviously took me out, right? But what I'm looking at on the higher time frames, right, is so we had this uptrend structure here, right? So we had sort of these higher, we had this high, your low. Well, we start with the low, right? So you had your low, your high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And then we broke structure here, right? This low was the structure break just here, right? And that broke, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, right? So once that structure was broken and we started to form lower highs, lower lows, that's when I was looking for trading opportunities to the downside here, right? Then we had that reversal pattern, the head and shoulders, and that's when I kind of shifted my bias back into the longer term uptrend structure, right? And that's why I took that trading opportunity there. But kind of shifting back into that just market structure, right? Upon that market structure change just there, once that was broken, right? So if I just move this zone here, that's where we had that retest this week, right? So we had that actually it was a couple of weeks ago, right? And so yeah, so that shift in higher time frame structure is still intact, right? So we have your high, your major low, and then you had that major retest of structure, right? So that happened this week. Another thing that I kind of like to look at is a shift in, we're kind of having that shift in momentum. So if we just look at where, let's put this here, but if we just look at where this uptrend, the latest uptrend push started from, it was from this breakout after this tightening of price, right? So this kind of breakout candle just here. So if I just kind of look at from this low, right? So the low of that candle, you can even go from like the low of that candle to the high before the market structure changed, right? So this is the highest point before that shift in market structure, right? And so I like to look at that, and so I'll just change this to like a, what is it, buying activity, right? So you just highlight that as all one kind of one strong kind of buy move, right? And then I'll look to see, okay, so from that low, from the lowest point before the shift in structure, right? So sorry, the lowest point, not before the shift in structure, but the lowest point before by the, you know, the strong uptrend move, right? if you just look at that low point there, right, so that lowest point there, it kind of ties back into this wick here, right, where that rejection happened. Right, so what I'll do then is I'll just measure, I'll just draw another box, right, from the highest point to the lowest point, right. So what I aim to do, I'll just change that to like selling activity. All right, so what I'll aim to do is I just try to measure to see, all right, so from the last time price was at this area, right, from the last time it was at the area, how long did it take to get to that high point, right, represented in the green box here. And then based on the selling activity that broke structure, so the high of the point that started the move to break that structure level, how long did it take to get back to that point of origination? So you can see there, it took, you know, the sell happened way quicker than, you know, the buyers took to get price to that high, right? So just within this little price action area here, you can quite clearly see that the selling activity is much stronger than the buying activity, right? So that's just in that little area there. But then if we were to look at, you know, more recently, so I could probably just delete this now, right? So, right, so that was achieved, right? But then if we were to look at from this low point here, right? So this low point here, right? So the point at which we had the retest, right? So we retested that market structure low, all right? So I just pull another box from this low point to this high point, and I'll just change that to buying activity, all right? And then I just want to kind of look to see how long it took price to kind of get back to that low point, right? So I'll just draw another box from that high point. I guess the low point actually closed off here. Get rid of the magnet. So just to that ray line, right? And then just highlight that as selling activity. Cool. So then you could see just within that little move there, right? You have a weak buying pressure and then strong selling pressure, right, to get price back to the point of origination. So you could kind of see that shift in momentum starting to happen, right? So, you know, there's strong selling activity just within this price action here, even though we've been in that longer term uptrend, right? So I'm starting to shift my bias on this pair to taking some selling opportunities this week. And what I'll be looking for is kind of a retest of these lows, right? We had a nice clean break of these lows here, the structure point here. So what I'll be looking for on this pair is just a retest of these lows. If we get a retest of these lows kind of on the lower time frames, 4 hour time frames, then I'll look for price to kind of pull back up into this level, show some signs of rejection, and then I'll look for that continuation. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk through how I look at market structure from a very kind of high level, and how I kind of measure momentum and form that bias with trading direction. So anyway, moving on to AUDJPY. So for this one, we kind of been stuck in this range here on the daily time frame, right? We're just not really breaking highs or breaking lows, right? So we had this kind of high of the range, low of the range, and then we just kind of been stuck in between here, right? So for this pair, I guess, I mean, even though we kind of stuck in the range, we're still forming higher lows, not really forming higher highs as such, right? But we're still kind of forming these higher lows. I guess you could probably say, you know, we're kind of looking at like this kind of, what's it called? Like a ascending triangle type thingy. I don't really pay too much attention to chart patterns. I mean, I like to be aware of them, kind of having this kind of thingy, right? So if I think I want to say by definition, ascending triangle is a kind of continuation pattern, right? So you want to see a break of the highs for that kind of continuation. And that's what I'll be looking for, but not based off of the chart pattern, just based off of, you know, higher highs, higher lows, breaking the highs of the range, come back, retest, and then look for continuation. But you know, equally, if we do break lower, right? If we break lower, then we know we might kind of just come back and complete the range. And then if we break out of the range, then you probably look for that kind of continuation pattern to the downside. But yeah, so what I'll be looking for on this pair is just a clean break, a nice clean clear break of the highs, come back, retest, and then look for that continuation. All right, so moving on to AUDUSD. So there's nothing super clear on this pair. I have it highlighted in red just to purely pay attention to what price is going to do. Right, last week or earlier this week, I looked at trading opportunities off of this kind of diagonal kind of trend line-ish support and resistance level. So we had that kind of resistance, support, resistance, right? So I was looking for buying opportunities off of this level, and this would have worked out to be a pretty decent buying opportunity, kind of targeting this previous structural level here. But I didn't actually take the trade. I just wanted to kind of pay attention to it. What I was looking at this week, however, is this formation of this kind of triple top, right? We've kind of been stuck in this range, right? It's not really, we're not really forming any higher highs or higher lows. We're just stuck in this kind of range. If I just box it off here, like those are the lows of the range, I guess, something like that, right? And these are the highs of the range, but we form that kind of triple top, showing that there's not enough buying pressure to break these highs. And then this week we saw some strong selling pressure compared to the buying pressure that we were seeing before, right? Closed off Friday with this big bearish candle here. So I don't know, I just want to kind of see what price does, how it forms from here. If we break the lows, then I can get rid of this now. I don't really need that. I don't need this. Right, so if we break these lows, right, so kind of these lows here, we might very well see price kind of complete to the, you know, complete this, I guess, this wider range here, right? So I don't know, that might, something like that might set up, right? But as I say, I'm not trading it, so I just want to kind of keep my eye on it to see what price does in this situation. Moving on to CADJPY. All right, so on this one, so yeah, so all these JPY pairs had this massive impulsive buy this week, which is good to see. That hopefully will provide some trading opportunities next week. But yeah, so what I'm looking at on CADJPY, so if I just draw this kind of trend line, not being super clean and precise with the trend line, just kind of identifying the major structural points, you know, the kind of lower highs, lower lows, right? We kind of broke, we had that tightening of price just here, and then we had that explosive break of the trend line, right? And if I just kind of copy this trend line, just copying it just to kind of identify kind of these highs, right, and just pull it lower, you can kind of see it forming this nice clean channel, right? And if we just kind of zoom out a little bit, you could also see that, you know, looking at the longer term kind of picture, you could kind of see that we have in this kind of flag formation, right? So you had your impulse, right? So that was your previous impulse, and you had a deep correction here, but you could, I don't know, we could look at that, right? But the main thing I'm looking at is this kind of corrective kind of flag pattern here, right? And then we had that second impulse starting to happen, right? So kind of have that flag formation forming just there, right? So what I'll be looking for on this pair, right, is possibly, I don't know, let's pull, I'm just looking for some kind of a retracement, right? So if I just pull a fib from kind of like these lows here to this high, it depends on if it starts to pull back from here, right? So this 50% level lines up pretty nicely with these previous highs here, just like these highs just here, right? And then the 618 kind of lines up with the, well, I guess this previous high just here, this previous high just here, right? So I'll just pay attention to initially this zone, right? These highs here, right? If it's not super clean, right? But for a setup like this, what I'll be looking for is just a pullback, right? So a pullback into like the 50% or the 618 fib, right? As long as that pullback happens to be nice and corrective, right? A nice corrective slow pullback in relation to the buy activity that we had before, right? And I get some kind of a nice entry signal somewhere here, then I'll just look for that continuation, right? So that's what I'll be looking for on CADJPY this week. CHFJPY, Right, so this was the analysis from last week, right? I was saying that we're possibly having this kind of flag formation just here. I'd be looking for that impulsive break, which we did have, and then that retest, right? But that retest never came, right? We just had that strong impulsive break. Retest never came to test the highs, which is cool. Well, I say it never came, right? But it hasn't come yet, right? So hopefully, right, we might actually see that happen this week, right? So that's what I'll be hoping to see happen this week, right? A nice clean, so we had the nice clean clear break. So now I'm just looking for that retest of the broken highs, right? Maybe that might line up as a good kind of retracement level. So I'll pull a fib from the highs to the lows to the highs. So yeah, so that's these previous highs smack dab between the 50 and the 618, right? So that's what I'll be looking for this week. If it comes back, retest these broken highs just here, show some nice clear rejection, hopefully some nice slow retracement as well, similar to that CADJPY, right? So we have, if we just kind of have this nice slow retracement back to the level, some nice rejection, then I'll look for continuation. Euro AUD. So this one's analysis is still the same. I'm just kind of waiting to see what price wants to do. Hopefully we get a break of these highs, then I'll look for continued momentum to the upside. Although, you know, looking at it, you know, on the bigger picture, right, this could kind of just be a corrective structure just here, right? So yeah, something like this, right? We could just have this kind of longer term slower correction happening here, right? So that very well might be the case, right? So we very well might just correct in this for some more time, right? So just kind of correcting this and then kind of continue in that longer term downtrend structure, right? So, you know, longer term structure here, it could be this kind of small flat correction here for just that continuation. So that very well might be happening. I'll just be keeping an eye on it to see what it does. And either which way, hopefully I'll be prepared. So right, so EURCAD. So this one, this is the pair I said I just wanted to kind of get involved in any short opportunities because I'm seeing that it wants to return to this previous level just here, point of origination. I was hoping to get an opportunity here this week, but I missed it, right? I would have taken a trade right here after this small correction here on the lower time frames, but I wasn't around to trade it, right? So but what I'm seeing now is that we broke these previous lows just here and we broke it quite impulsively. So if price wants to retrace, right, if we get a nice slow correction after this massive impulse, right, so if we get a nice slow correction back into these broken levels here, maybe even these broken levels here, I'll just look for entry reason to get into some continuation trades, right? And I'm pretty sure if we probably pull a fib from the highs to the lows, yeah, so you see, yeah, these fib levels just tend to line up nicely most of the time, right? So yeah, so I'll be looking for something like that, right? So even if I probably update it to these highs, yeah, that's probably a little bit better. All right, so yeah, I'll be looking for something like that this week. Hopefully that does set up. If it does, then I'll be taking some shorts there. EURJPY, so this one also kind of played out as expected, so we're just kind of waiting for that retest now, but not 100% sure if it will kind of pull all the way back to these broken highs. See what type of retracement that would be. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so I'll be paying attention to these highs here if price gets to that level, right? So these highs here, because that's around the 50% level, so I'll be paying attention to that. Equally, the cleaner opportunity for me would be at the 618, right? So if we get that 618 retracement, some nice rejection at the level, then I'll just be looking for continuations because we already had that nice tightening of price. We had the explosive move, so now it's just looking for that continuation to play out. EURNZD. So yeah, this one's marked in red because again, it's not super clear, but the analysis is still the same from last week. We had that wider term, you know, higher term range, right? From kind of these highs here to these lows here. Haven't really been breaking highs or lows, but more recently we've been stuck in this tiny little range here. Right, so I'll be waiting to see what price wants to do. It very well, I don't know if it'll break to the upside. It very well might break to the downside. You know, we might be kind of seeing this kind of flag pattern forming here, right? So we had that strong impulse, right, and we just having this flat correction, right? So it might very well be setting up for continuation like this, right? So I don't know. If it breaks to the upside, right, if it's a nice clear break to the upside, then I'll probably trade it to the top of the range. If it breaks impulsively to the downside, then I'll look for that kind of continuation, right? Because it's really been in a downtrend for a while. So the bias would probably be to, you know, for short opportunities, but I'm just waiting for price action to tell me what it wants to do. And then I'll just trade accordingly. But yeah, if we break to the upside, then I'll just trade to the top of the range. And if we have that, you know, higher time frame breakout, right, breaking past these highs, then, you know, I'll shift bias to long opportunities only. So yeah, so that's what I'll be looking for on EURUSD. I mean EURNZD, so EURUSD. So this one, I don't know. I just want to kind of pay attention to price to see what it does. These were some trading levels I paid attention to, right? But they did set up, but I didn't get to trade them. So this was a missed opportunity last week, and then this was a missed opportunity this week, just here, based on these rejections just here. But yeah, this set up on Wednesday, and I wasn't around to trade it. So but anyway, so we had this kind of shift in structure now here on the H4 time frame, right? We broke these lows and we broke them quite impulsively. So we very well might start to see some downtrend structure starting to happen here. I just want to pay attention to learn how the pair moves a little bit more. There's no super clear trading opportunities on it for me. But because we had that break of lows, then I'll just kind of probably expect price to kind of continue in downtrend structure, right? So the lows I'm looking at here, these lows just here, right? So we had an impulsive break of those lows. So I'm fully expecting price to probably kind of retest these lows and then probably start forming some lower lows, lower highs. Whether that will happen or not, I don't know. But yeah, just going to pay attention to it. GBPCAD. So this one is pretty simple. So if I just jump to the daily time frame, right? We've been stuck in a range, like a longer term range for a while, right? We just kind of been moving sideways for some time. But this week we saw this strong momentum move, right? Breaking past these structural lows just here. So I'll just be looking for a retest of these broken lows, hopefully some rejection on the lower time frames, and then probably trade it to the downside, hopefully to complete the lows of the range, right? So these are the lows I'm interested in just here. All right, so something like that. If that sets up, then I'll be looking to trade that this week. GBPCHF. So this one is just a trade I'm managing, right? So I took an entry here based on this kind of reversal pattern, which I spoke about last week. However, what I'll be looking for this week, because we had a lower close on this pair, right? So we had these lows here, right? That failed to be broken before, but it was broken this week, and we had a lower close on the daily time frame, right? So hopefully what I'd like to see on this pair is just some continuation. All right, so hopefully some bearish continuation on the pair. So if we see some continuation on this pair, then I'll hopefully look to see price retrace, get some rejection, and then I'll look for continuation, right? So that's something I'll be looking at this week. So just a retest of these lows just here. If that sets up, then I'll look for some trading opportunities for continued downside on this pair. GBPUSD. So this was one of those trades that I missed this week. So price set up here, right, to get some long opportunities, but I wasn't around to trade it, so I missed that opportunity, and price would have come back and taken me out at break even anyway. So what I'm looking at now, what I'm looking for on this pair, right, is just to kind of mark it out to see what price wants to do. It's kind of approaching that 618 level just here, which is these previous highs just here as well. So I want to see what price wants to do when it gets there. It kind of already left a little bit of a rejection. So yeah, I just want to pay attention to price to see what it does. So yeah, I'm not really looking to trade it as such unless I get a super clear entry signal or something at the level, then maybe. All right, but for now I just want to pay attention to price. GBPNZD. So this one analysis is pretty much still the same. On the higher time frames, we've been in this slow kind of corrective uptrend structure, right? Just kind of forming major higher highs and higher lows. On the 4 time frame, I was kind of hoping to see price make an explosive move this week, right? So I was hoping for a breakout of this because we had this impulsive move here and a slow correction, right? So I was hoping to see a nice kind of impulsive move, kind of continuation, but we just kind of been stuck in the range pretty much all week. All right, so I'll just kind of wait to see. I haven't marked as red, so I'll just kind of wait to see what price wants to do. If we break the highs, then I'll be looking to see how it breaks the highs. If it breaks it impulsively, then I'll probably look for that nice, you know, I want to see that nice impulsive break and then slow correction back into the level, and then entry reason and look for that continuation. If that sets up this week, then I'll be looking to trade that to the upside. If it doesn't, then you know there's no other real clear trading opportunities on this for me. NZDCAD. So this pair, this almost set up, right? So it almost pushed into the level, but it didn't quite get there. So this was the analysis I did last week. I was hoping to see price just kind of continue that kind of corrective structure back into that level. You know, these previous broken lows just here. Instead, it respected these lows just here, which I didn't really pay attention to, right? So yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't a trade that I took. That would have worked out to be a pretty nice trade here. But yeah, didn't really set up for me. So yeah, so on this pair, what I'll be looking for to happen next is either a nice clear impulsive break of these lows, right? Showing that sign of continuation that it wants to kind of continue in that downtrend. So if we break past these lows, then I'd look for, you know, a clear retest of the broken lows. So if we get a break here, right, a break lower, then I'll look for a retest of these lows, right? Could get rid of this now, right? Equally, if I don't know if we'll probably get a retest of these lows just here. I don't know, like these lows just here, that might be a nice 50% retracement. If that sets up as well, I'll just pull from here. I don't know if that's where the turnaround would be, right? I don't know if that's where price is actually going to turn around, but no, so the 50% is kind of a little bit higher. I don't know, I'll keep an eye on it to see how price shapes up, right? So if we get equal lows down here, right? So if it comes back, if price kind of pulls into these previous lows here, and that kind of lines up to be a 50% level. So if that sets up, if price kind of continues, right? So if price pushes lower, right? And then kind of starts making corrective, slower retracements to there, right? That last previous impulsive break of these lows just here, then I'd look for some trading opportunities around that level, right? So something like that. All right, if that sets up, then that's what I'll look for. However, if we kind of have that higher time frame break, right? So that higher time frame break, impulsive break of these lows, then I'll just look to trade off of these previous lows just here. All right, so NZDCHF. So this one's kind of playing out as expected as well. So we had this kind of corrective structure that was playing out this week, and I was saying that I wanted to see price probably push a little bit lower in the corrective structure, and if it does, then I'll look for trading opportunities to the upside around this area here, right? Kind of test the channel lows or a double bottom within this kind of higher time frame range, you know, kind of this level around here. right? But it's kind of playing out as expected for now, because we been in this uptrend for a while and we're just having this corrective kind of market structure here after this impulsive move, right? So I'll just kind of be impatient on this one, keeping it in the red category, and waiting to see if it plays out, and if there's any long opportunity sets up, any long opportunities that set up in the upcoming weeks. So I'm just being a little bit patient on this one. NZDJPY. So yeah, this one I'm not 100% sure on, but if it is gonna set up, it's probably at the level right now. I guess if we look at, so this is the 4-hour level, right? But if we kind of, I'll just draw in another level here, which is the daily level, right? These daily highs just here, and then drop to the 4-hour time frame. All right, so okay, so this is the wick on the daily time frame, right? So that's where price is now, and it's currently showing some signs of rejection at the level. And then these are the daily highs here, right? This level here, the daily highs, right? So yeah, I want to see what price does here, right? If it does anything here, then obviously it's going to be at market open, or you know, if price kind of pulls back into these highs here, right? So yeah, I want to pay attention to it to see what it does. I don't really like the strength of the move that pulled into the level, but I think it's probably at an interesting level as it is right now. So yeah, something to pay attention to, see if it sets up. If there's any kind of bullish indication, then I'll look for long opportunities on this pair. USDCAD, all right, so this one's pretty clear as well. So we had this week, we had that impulsive break of these previous lows just here. After a small period of consolidation, we had that impulsive break, right? So this week, I'll just be looking for that kind of pull back into the level. Hopefully it happens nice and correctively, right? Nice slow retracement back into the level, rejection, and then look for that continuation. USDJPY, yeah, just gonna take this one off my list, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it did play out, right? So I was saying that I was hoping to see price kind of break higher, right? So break out of this kind of range here, these highs here, this minor little range, this kind of corrective structure, and break higher, and then come back and retest, right? It never really retested, right? It kind of came close, but instead it respected these highs here, right? I was hoping to see it respect kind of these highs here, which would have been, you know, the clearer opportunity for me. Instead it just respected these, and it didn't really even give this a very clear entry signal for me, all right? So I mean, I guess it did set up, but yeah, no, it really didn't, right? So but yeah, so I'll probably just take this one out. I'll leave it as red to just pay attention to it to see what price does. But yeah, I'm not looking to trade this week unless we see some clear market structure that shows strong bullish moves, like a strong continuation of this bullish move here. Retest of these highs, maybe some rejection there, and then look for continuation. But yeah, that doesn't really convince me, so probably not, right? Yeah, I'll probably just leave this one alone, to be honest. There's some other pairs that look a little bit more clear to me. But yeah, I'll leave it as red, pay attention to it, and if it does set up and something looks super clear, then yeah, maybe I'll get involved. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's all I'm looking for this week. Yeah, I guess as usual, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Obviously, if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you think these videos would be useful for anybody else that's trying to learn to trade, or you think that they might gain some value from my explanations, then feel free to share the video with them. All right, cool. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys. I don't know, I keep saying maybe midweek, but I don't know. Hopefully midweek if I get some time to backtest. If not, then I'll see you next week.